Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Edge podcast. You're joining us here in the heart of Auckland, the real heart of Auckland. Everyone says their place of wherever they live is the heart of Auckland, but the real heart of Auckland is Pukekohe. And you're joining a conversation with me and Darren Singh here. On today's episode, Darren Singh, who I'm interviewing, is an entrepreneur who transformed a garage startup into a thriving 24-hour fitness club. From humble beginnings with just $900 in his bank account, he overcame challenges, rediscovered his purpose, and built a successful business, or should I say businesses. Join us as we explore Darren Singh's inspiring journey and story, filled with resilience, faith, and the power of never giving up. Well, brother, thank you for joining us on our podcast today.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. And yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. Share something interesting about yourself that people don't normally know about, Darren.
Sure. So I've got a boxing fight coming up September, so been training hard for that. It's been life-changing already. Dropped 7 kgs. I have to drop another 4 kilograms as well. So training maybe sometimes twice a day, 4 or 5 times a week, and pushing hard. Got a coach. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that, and that's going to be really exciting. So it's tough, but it's definitely showed me a lot of discipline as well. Being busy in business, family, work, and all that kind of stuff, and then setting aside time for training as well. So
I love that.
Yeah,
it highlights it there is you can make time to do things outside of just business, right? In business, you can easily get caught up in the doing, and that's all you focus on. But it's important to make time for things that you enjoy, and hobbies as well, or other passions.
that's right.
So cool.
Exactly.
Boxing, eh? How you feeling for it? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling confident. I can't get too cocky, but I know that if I train hard and I get my cardio up, then I'll be confident in the ring. And so just focusing on that at the moment. Yeah. So
I love it.
I'm going to be training tonight. So,
Ooh.
you're my coach.
Well, there you go. No excuses. That's what
Yeah.
I hear. All right. Well, hey, thank you again for joining us on this podcast. And, I'm pretty inspired by your story. I've known you for a while now. I've seen you, go from one Creo, business that you had to now multiple. And you're doing other things as well. And you got other investments. So pretty keen to learn from you and pick your brains as entrepreneur, someone who walks the talk. So maybe share something a little bit about yourself that people don't know about in terms of you, in a brief introduction, and also a little bit about your businesses as well.
Yeah, look, I'm a very social person. I love traveling. A lot of my family and friends know that. But in my spare time, if I'm not doing business with family, and then I love traveling. I think I've traveled quite a bit around the world, and I've got more places to go and check out as well. I'm off to Indonesia next week. Then off to Croatia at the end of the year. So I work hard and then try to travel and have a bit of downtime doing that as well. So the other thing is I like to try to read and try to just spend some time just trying to have a bit of me time as well, and just try to keep on, increasing our knowledge and wisdom as well, and things like that. And the other one is obviously family is very important as well. So I've got a 14-year-old, she's turning 14 soon. And so I've been hanging out with my daughter, Marissa, and she's my heart. She's important to me. Yeah.
I love it.
So business, family, bit of leisure time, bit of travel, and just having fun in life. And just building connections and relationships, and having goals and, setting aside goals.
So you're a dadpreneur and a husbandpreneur as well. So you wear a lot of hats. That's awesome. But nothing more important than family.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and shout out to Lena.
yeah. And for those who don't know, Lena is
my wife.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Wife and everything else, eh?
Yeah.
Number one fan, supporter. I love it. So talk a little bit about your businesses. Just kind of give us an insight in terms of, what do you own? What are you working on?
Yeah, so I'm the franchisor of Creo Fitness. So I started off with one gym, Pukekohe, back in 2016, and then went to Tuakau, Pocono, Warkworth, Te Kaupita. Now we're at 5 clubs now. That's kind of like, it happened so quick within I think 7 years. Now I'm in a position where I'm a franchisor, which is quite new. I've franchised off Pukekohe and Tuakau Gym as well. And we've started a new project called Fast Fitness, which is a new F45/BFT group fitness training. And it's very flash. It's run off the TV screens through Techno Gym. And it was just basically an idea that I came up with maybe 18 months ago, and it just sat on my PowerPoint presentation. and my computer. And then I spoke to my business partner, Richie, and I said, look, let's get this off the ground running. And you know, when I walk in there, it's like, wow, this idea that you had in your mind has now become, you know, has gone into fruition. So that was very inspiring just to see that whatever you have, whatever that you think about, it can become reality. So yeah, 5 clubs now. It's been pretty hectic, life-changing.
5 clubs.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got experience, not just one business, but multiple businesses, and obviously a team as well. So there's people there that you manage or that you lead.
Yep.
So that's cool. So that's just to give people out there an insight in terms of where you are. You're this entrepreneur. You're working on multiple things here. So how did you get into the space? How did you? Where did it all start? How did it all begin?
Wow.
Give us the nice story.
Back in the days.
Yeah, back in the days.
All right. So, you know, like everyone, we all go through challenges in life and ups and downs. And I was about 21 at the time. I think I was 21, and I was like, what am I doing in my life? And so, you know, used to play rugby back in Mount Grammar and a little bit of sports on the side. And then I ended up getting into the gym with my friends. And then I started loving the gym environment, feeling good, losing weight, getting strong. And I ended up started Googling a course for personal training, and I found one in Max Fitness College. And I think this is about 2010. And so I went and completed that. And when I finished, I started from my sister's garage in West Auckland, Ashley Avenue. And I'll never forget that. So my sister had this little garage and had a Peugeot parked in there. I said, hey, can you, like, you know, take your car out? So she took her car out. So why I want to turn this into a PT studio, and I had to hide the washing machine and the dryer. Put up the and then put some wrap posters up, and it was like real cheapy, $900 worth of life savings. Threw it in there, trained family, friends, people around the block, and then it started to kind of grow. But the passion grew, the excitement grew, and I said, this is what I want to do. And then once I did that for quite some time, I was working at another full-time job in Panmure. And then I decided to just take the jump, the leap, and I quit this salary paid job and went to Jets Fitness in New Lynn, 2010, 11, around that period. And then I quit this job, and the change was going from that to self-employed, because you're not on salary anymore. So quitting a job, and then I had to get clients, and I managed to get, like, I think it was something like 25 clients in 4 weeks or 5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and which is quite hard even to do today. But I guess the how I did it was just grind from 6 in the morning all the way to like 7, 8 at night. Free sessions, free consultations, and then just grew from there. That was how I started in personal training.
Humble beginnings, eh? With the support from your sister as well.
Yeah, shout out to my
turning that garage, trying to hide that washing machine. I love it.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny part was when I was training people in there, she should, like, in the middle of a PT session in the garage, she'll walk in, and then she'll move the curtain aside and do the washing. It was like, oh, embarrassing, eh? But that's how we started.
I love it. I mean, for some people, when they're standing there, they probably just see a garage. But this guy here saw a gym, or at least the beginnings of it, a little studio there. I love it. That's a characteristics of an entrepreneur, someone who can see opportunity.
Exactly. You got to start from the bottom, and
And you were young too. You were quite young. 21,
yeah.
Which is really great. So how did it all spark though? Like, were you thinking about business, being a business owner, or was it just more like chasing your passion? You just wanting to have your own little studio and just kind of help people?
Yeah, it's funny because back when I was doing the course for personal training, they used to get us to stand up before we started our class, and we had this goal list, and they used to do it all the time. And so they taught us discipline, like you had to wear a suit when you attended the class. You couldn't have your cell phone on you, and if your cell phone went off, you're asked to leave. So I remember one day the tutor said, "Look, I want you guys to write down your goals for the next 10 years or something like that." So I wrote, one of them was to own my own gym and to earn this much money and da-da-da-da and that kind of stuff. And, I was sitting here, whatever, and they believe that if you speak it, if you believe it, it becomes a reality. So they were obviously a life coaching / personal training institute. And so little did I know that time that was actually planting a seed into me. And when I started to write my goals down and write my future down, I was like, oh, man, maybe this is what I want to do. I want to own my own gym. I want to have this much members. I want to travel to that place. So that's how it all started. I started to reprogram my mind at 21. even though I wasn't the perfect lad back then, you know, making mistakes, a young person. But I was writing all that stuff down, and then I started to have goals. And so once I completed my, working at my at that garage gym, I decided to go to Jets and then start to go into managerial positions. So I had a goal ahead. It wasn't just to stay in one place.
Yeah, so you had this vision, and you had this dream of owning your own business, but it was a goal that you actually wrote down.
Correct.
Yeah, and I hear this advice a lot from a lot of business owners in that, like, don't just leave the goal in your head, write it. That's the first step, right? And so that's pretty cool. I really like that. You know, that's where it all started. Obviously, there are some stepping stones in between, you know, starting that little humble garage, turning it into a studio to like your 5 businesses now, or 5 clubs. Tell us some of the challenges that you went through starting off, and how you overcame some of those challenges. What were some of those?
In business?
Yeah, just starting off your own little studio, your little gym there, and then taking it from there, trying to grow it. What were some of the challenges or barriers that you had to experience going through that?
I think it's confidence. Yeah, big thing, because naturally I was a shy person. Growing up in central Auckland, you know, and I think that kind of culture is like quiet buzz. And so, you know, when you're doing personal training, you have to, you know, get out of your comfort zone. You have to talk, you have to speak, and you have to sell. And so I started to sell personal training and sell myself. And so that was a little bit of a hard step. But then after a while, I started getting used to it. Then I became more confident in selling personal training. And then the other one was, when I went and worked for Jets, is like sitting across the table with someone and you've done a free consultation and then saying, oh, here we go. This is my charge. And some people say no and stuff. So you go away and go, why didn't they? So I had to work on sales, had to work on myself and convincing people as well as they needed PT. So I think confidence was a big thing to work on personally, but also when I became confident, business, finance, all those kind of stuff came with it as well. To learn.
Yeah. So confidence was one of the biggest things, but obviously, you know, you built that confidence by trying and failing and learning and improving as you went along.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just waiting to be confident before you do all those things.
Yeah.
You kind of grew it as you went through that experience and journey, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, so it's just really, I think you have to step out of your comfort zone. Then that's where the confidence comes at times. You can't just expect to be like, I'm going to get confident by doing nothing. So when you're put into an area where you're uncomfortable, I noticed that, you know, that's how you grow as an individual. And I think from 21 to now, I've always probably put myself into uncomfortable positions to grow. And I'm all about growing as well.
I really like that. I almost use that as a rule as well to measure whether I'm progressing or moving forward. Is like, you know, if I get too comfortable, I start to worry.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
Yeah. You know, growth mindset. You know, you're always looking for a challenge. You're always looking for growth. You know, if you're not feeling challenged, you're not growing.
Correct.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, and especially as an entrepreneur, when you come with different challenges, you have to be a problem solver.
Yes.
Right? And so challenges come and go, so you have to get used to facing those challenges, eh?
Correct.
Head on.
Yeah, like you said, you have to be a problem solver. And I think that's how your brain grows or your mind grows when you're solving problems, even though it's uncomfortable, but it's healthy for you. You know, you don't want to have a stagnant mind or, you know, you plateau. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing we both got. You have to, when you know you're being uncomfortable, you're like, nah, I need to do something, whether it's read a book or try something new. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And so you went from obviously starting this thing, and this was on the side, while working at Jets, you had this job, and while you were still trying to build up your thing on the side.
Correct. Yeah, so I built it up on the side, and that's when I took the leap. And I remember going to Jets, and I met one of the national managers there. He happened to be there, interviewed me. He spoke for 30 minutes. I didn't even say a word. And he's like, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, sweet, nodding my head for 30 minutes. And he just puts his hand out. Do you want a job? I was like, okay. And I shook his hand. And then that's how it all began. And then I just loved it. I did that for like 9 or 10 months. And then I made another move to Perth, Australia, which was another chapter in my life. Yeah.
So you moved to Australia after that and progressed your career even further. So you were still progressing your career within a full-time job, and you're still doing this thing on the side.
Correct.
Is there any advice that you can give to people out there who might be thinking about not yet taking the full leap of faith, but they're wanting to start something on the side. They're in a full-time job because they need the security, they need the income for now because they haven't got anything else fully established yet to jump all in. But they can start something on the side,
Correct.
work on something on the side. Any advice around juggling that or balancing that, or kind of like,
My advice is to give it a go. You never know if you don't try, and you have to try it. So if you've got a full-time job and you have kids and a mortgage, you can't quit your job. You need to be in your role, in your job to pay the bills. But what I've learned is that from 9 to 5, they own your time. But from 5 to 12, you own your own time. So you can build wealth from 5 to 12 p.m. every single day. Now it's up to you whether you go home, watch Netflix, or muck around YouTube, or you know what I mean, or just whatever. It's up to you, or eat food and watch TV. But you can use that time from 5 to 12 to read a book, and you can build, personal wealth, reading, self-educating yourself, taking a course at night time. You can do things from that moment forward. You can do a lot of research and study. Also, you can start to, do your research, and then after after you finish work, then you can go and start something on the side business. You've got marketplace on Facebook. You can sell things. You can, if you are good at cooking or making or baking, cookies in the oven, you can go and bake them and go the next day and sell them off to people. You know what I mean? All down the road or industrial area. So there's ways of actually doing your passion outside of your work. You just got to think.
Yeah. And make time for it.
Make time for it.
And that's what you did. So, you're still in the same industry. You're in fitness, you're a PT full-time, progressing your career, but at the same time, you're spending your time instead of watching Netflix. Netflix probably wasn't around back then or something else. But you were working on this, right?
Yeah.
Which is good advice out there. And I like what you said there. Just start small. Practice being an entrepreneur. Start selling baking or things on the marketplace. Start there. Or maybe go through your house and find anything old that you don't need anymore and sell that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just practice transactional, you know? Promoting something on Facebook, on social media, making that exchange with the, communication and the payment with the person.
Yeah.
That's entrepreneurship 101 at its basics.
Yep.
Promoting something, selling something,
100%.
Transaction.
Exactly.
And you just slowly build. Once you've got that, you get more comfortable, sell something else, a little bit more expensive, and you go from there. But at least you're practicing selling, eh? And I think I want to get into that in terms of customer skills. So, you eventually got into your business there. Your first gym, 24-hour fitness club, and now you're responsible for a team. Now you're responsible for clients, and so a lot of it is people. You've got to look after the people. So talk a little bit about that in terms of customer service. Obviously membership, you had to look after the customers and grow it and to keep them, right? Yeah. Keep those customers happy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for me, it's in business, relationship is key. It's very important. When I say relationship, I mean, meet and greet to building rapport, talking with people just like what we're doing here, and just getting to understand people as well, and just being real and authentic. And I know your customers can pick up on that, and just being a person that can connect with individuals. And that's been a massive thing with my customer service at Creo. Our culture is based on relationship. It's based on getting to know people, because what we believe is that we don't know what they're going through in their life. They could be going through a divorce, they could be going through bankruptcy, they could be going through, lost a family member. But when they walk through our doors, we need to love on those people. We need to honor those people, because not only because they pay our bills or not like that, but it's because that's what I believe in. That's our values. So we believe in that deep relationship, and we want to make people feel better when they come into our gyms. We want to uplift them. We want to encourage them. We want to, if we can speak life into their situation, be some sort of aid, then let's do it. The world is dark as it is already out there, so we can be a light in our community. So that's how Creo, I guess the philosophy of Creo came from that belief system. And that's compelled us to actually grow in numbers and multiply, because people now feel attracted to something that they feel accepted to.
I love that. And you hear this time and time again. I hear it all the time in terms of don't chase the money, chase the impact, the profit. And I think you've shared this with me many times too. And people can feel that They can tell if you're just using them or they're just a dollar sign or number for them, right?
Correct.
You got to show that you care about them. So maybe give us some tips around that. How do you connect with these people? How do you build that relationship and that loyalty and look after your clients? What are some tips around that?
You know, one thing that's I always believe in acknowledging people. It all starts with body language as well as words. You know, when someone comes into the gym, if I make eye contact with anyone, I say hello. I say hello, body language, hi, how are you? Even if they walk past me, I'll shake their hand. Yeah, they know I'm the owner and all that kind of stuff, but I set that title aside, and I just want to connect with the individual. I ask how their family's going, how's the soccer on the weekend or whatever, and you just try to remember their names and call them by their first name. People feel accepted. So even I still work out in the Creo gyms, even though I've got my AirPods in and I'm doing a workout. Members know I'm the owner, but I still wave at them because that just shows honor. And I believe in that honor. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so the camaraderie, I believe it all starts from the top down. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And that's why the business is growing. Because you've got a leader like that who set a culture and a foundation where it's all about caring for the people.
100%.
Otherwise, why would they sign up if you don't care about them?
You can't be a hard-nosed businessman all the time. And there's too many of them out there. But I believe totally in respect, honor, and being humble and finding that humility where necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's that saying, right? It doesn't matter how awesome your product or your service or your business is, if people don't like you, they won't buy from you.
Correct.
Simple as that, right?
100%.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about managing people. So, you went from just you being, this contractor or, working for a job, employee, and now you're going off, you're starting this gym and you've got people. Now you're responsible for people. Tell us a little bit about that. What were some of the challenges and things that you had to figure out going from one person to many?
That's a very good question. When you're a leader or you're managing people, it's never easy. You don't know what you're going to face sometimes. And so what I've learned from that, like managing people, whether it's they bring their personal issues into work or whether it's just like their performance takes a nosedive or whatever it is, you have to make sure that you don't lose your composure. What I've learned from managing so many people over the last many years is that you just need to remain calm and just show understanding as well. I've made a lot of errors in my leadership, and I'll say that out comfortably. I've said a few things I shouldn't have said. I've made mistakes. I've failed in some leadership, but that whole process has now taught me so much now. So if I'm faced with a very difficult scenario, more calmer, more mature, and you quickly, like you said in the beginning, you look for ways to solve the problem. So what I've learned now managing people is you're never going to find the perfect employee or you're never going to find the perfect person. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And you just got to understand that. And that's the biggest thing, is to understand as a leader, you're going to have some difficult moments because people are human. We're all human beings. But if you, as a leader, if you can install good values, good principles, or sit down, take your time with an individual and train them properly, then then you can reduce those risks ahead. So nowadays, that's my approach. When we do training on staff, when I manage staff, I make sure that they're fully trained to the best of their capability, and they understand our operations manual. They understand how we work, and then you put them onto the floor or into their position, as opposed to last time, many years ago, really, I'd fast track things and you'll see errors come out. So if your staff member or you're managing someone if their performance is not great, sometimes you got to take a look at yourself and say, well, hang on, that person is a product of me, because they may not have the industry experience, they may not have the managerial experience, but they've come in and hired them. But it's my job, my role to actually make sure that they grow as an individual and that they actually do well in their job. And if they've failed in their area, then you got to step back a little bit and go, where did we miss out and what did we do wrong?
And how many people are you responsible for, or like how many people under all these 5 clubs?
We have, I would take a stab at it, maybe 7, 8 employees, but a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
Each club has about two managers, and then heaps of contractors. Like Pukekohe has many contractors. Quite a bit actually.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's quite a few people, and I love that. That is a true characteristic of a true leader. Someone who, instead of pointing the fingers when things go wrong, they take a look in the mirror and be like, is it me, or what can I do to help better the situation or better the person?
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so you've mentioned a little bit already. So maybe just like if there are 2 or 3 things that you could advise entrepreneurs or business owners out there in terms of building a good work culture. So, like I said, your business is people heavy because, you got a lot of people who come to the gym. Those are people, people that contractors and all that. How do you build a culture where everyone comes to work, they give their best, they just wanting to serve and be a part of the business? Any things that you've learned that you could probably share?
Yeah, one will be communication. So comms is a massive thing that you need to have. So communicate with your staff effectively. You need to use email or text or call, and you can't waver on communication at all. You just need to, if it comes across your mind, make that phone call. And like on my way in here, I spoke to our manager support lady, and I said to her, "Look, what's going on?" She should, explain some challenges and issues. Cool. So how do we solve it? And yeah, so if I didn't make that call, she wouldn't have explained it maybe later on, and you know what I mean? So yeah, communication is a massive thing. And regardless if you're in the country, you're traveling, you always need to keep on tab, with your staff and business partners as well. Yeah. And so the other one is just a simple one, is respect. Yeah, just real simple. Respect. Yeah, just you when you walk through the door, just be genuine and nice to your staff, and just be have a chat with your staff, outside of work, what's going on in their life, and really just it just comes back to what I was saying earlier, to reiterate relationship, and that's how I believe you build a good work culture, because you want your staff to come to work, you want them to be excited to come to work, you don't want them to call in sick, and when they see you they get scared. You don't want to have that intimidating approach. I don't personally believe in that. I think a good leader should be a person who influences. So if we can build a culture of influence, then we actually have a very good team culture. Yeah, that's what I have found.
Communication, respect, and focusing on building a relationship or influence as well.
Correct.
I like that. So thank you for sharing that. In terms of your journey, obviously, it's not just you, and you've already talked about your team in that. But along your journey, there would have been people who supported you. So you would have had support from business mentors or even family. Talk a little bit about the support around that. Why is it so important, especially for an entrepreneur or business owner, when it comes to growing their business or getting into business? Why is it support so important?
Because you can't do everything by yourself. You need a team, and you have to find the right team, people who you trust. And as you grow, I think even look at billionaires, successful people, people who have become successful, they've never done it alone. You look at Nelson Mandela, he would have done it with a team. Mahatma Gandhi, you look at all these great people who've walked before us, they've all done it with a squad around them. So in my situation, like I'm a franchisor, but I have a franchisor partner as well. And, he has a lot of experience as a franchisor. So I was lucky to meet him, and that's how we actually started to franchise off our gym. So along the journey, these people put in our place, and then I was very lucky to come across, walk across his path and meet him. And so he's helped me to elevate and go to another level, because he carries, knowledge I didn't have. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have it. Now we know we can franchise to many, 10 or 20 or 30 gyms, because I've got a team member who understands how that works. Me, I knew how to operate gyms. Personal trainer, managed Jets gyms and all that kind of stuff, and then owned one gym and then went on to 2 and 3, but then the franchising area was another ball game. You know what I mean? So it's not something I personally know. Being a younger lad, franchising was like past my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So obviously, I think it was important that you brought that up. Is in terms of business owners, it's not just you. You've got a partnership as well, right? And there's different types of business entities. So maybe give some advice in terms of getting into a partnership when you're working with someone, whether it be a family member or a friend or someone you've never met before, but they've got the skill set and you just want to network, connect, and partner with them. What's some advice around partnership? Choosing the right partner. and things that we need to look out for?
Yep. I'm in business with my best friend, and that's been a real eye-opener, but it's been awesome. And so, me and him, we always clicked socially, but at the moment, we're doing business. It's so easy going with him. And I'm quite fortunate to have that. Not many people have that. So, so I've heard some disastrous stories, but I'm actually in business, with a couple of other people as well, who I'll leave unnamed. So they're great as well. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. But my advice to people is that if you're going to get into business, make sure you got to make sure that you understand them properly. Trust is there. There's deep connection, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with finance. And people do change when there's money involved. When there's money involved, people are different. But when there's no money involved, people will have a social life with you and do things outside and you'll get along with them. But when business really reveals people, it reveals intentions, I believe it reveals agenda. And you'll learn a lot about people that you do business with, because their true colours really come out. So be cautious. They always say, do not get into business with family. Some way, maybe beg to differ a little bit. It depends. But just if you're going to get into business with friends, making sure that there's a shareholders agreement in place,
Right.
that there's understanding in place. You actually sit down and go over, policies, whether it's just clicking on things and I do this way, and understanding your personality, because all that stuff does come out in the wash.
Yeah, it's important to identify that, especially before you get into a partnership, and having some sort of contractual agreement. Just as a backup as well, and to make sure that you're both on the same page. And don't cross any boundaries.
Right.
And you protect each other.
Correct.
So that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah,
What does make a good partnership? If there was like one or two characteristics, you'd be like, when you get into a partnership, it needs to be able to do this. They need to be able to have that. Like, what are those two things you would say?
Someone that matches your values as well and understands your vision. And vision is a very, very important thing. You need to know where you're going. Your partner needs to know where they're going as well. And so if you guys get into the business for making money, then there's going to be some issues. But if you get into the business for changing people's lives, making our community a better place, making people fitter and healthier, those good values, and your partner also understands that, then that makes business a bit more easier. Working hard is a very important thing. Grinding away, one of my partners, we believe in just grinding away, and we both click on that. So we get in, we work, we got the same energy, same drive. Whether it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night or 6 in the morning, we're still teaching each other about business, or, we're throwing ideas around. And it's hard to find people like that who want to grind hard and work hard and take the risk, and that are so passionate. So, that's one thing,
So it's important to have a vision and goals set in place, because that's what you guys are trying to achieve. It's not like a personal agenda, but a shared one as well. So you don't get all distracted.
Correct. Vision's huge.
And especially when it comes to like decision making, you come back to does it help us achieve our purpose or our goal? If it doesn't, then it's probably not worth talking about. It always comes back to the mission and the purpose and the vision of the business,
Correct.
in terms of decision making. So maybe give us some advice around decision making. How do you approach that, especially when it comes to like big decision, any decision, big or small? What's your process to make sure that you're making the right decision for the business? Because any decision can impact your staff and your clients, right? So it's important that we make right decisions.
Not thinking emotionally or reacting emotionally, but thinking and acting logically. And you would find that when you're patient. So you do a bit of slow thinking versus fast thinking. And there's a book on that. So whenever I'm faced with any scenario, I'll say, okay, I'll do some slow thinking. I'll come back to you. I'll sleep on it for the night. I'll talk to you tomorrow about it. Or if I'm not sure, might run it through a business partner, I might float the idea around, but I'll let it mull over in my mind, and then I'll make the decision the next day or the next week or whatever it is. Sometimes when you're patient, it comes from your gut, the right decision to make, comes from your heart, wherever, but you just know, you have this intuition, but you can't, if you're going to make a decision and you do it straight away, you need to know that that's the right decision. You need to be sure that this is what I got to do. because every decision and choice that you make, there's a consequence for that. You know what I mean? So there's a consequence for all of that. So my advice to people is be patient. Just don't react quickly. Take your time. Make sure, because when you do take your time, what actually happens is that other answers might flood in or other ideas, and you get time to mull it over, and then you actually compile a lot of things together, and you're like, oh, okay, now I can actually make that decision because blah, blah, blah.
I love that. I've never heard that one before, that concept.
Yep.
Slow thinking and fast thinking. Sleep on it. Give yourself some time. Be patient.
Correct.
Sleep, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. And it just helps to filter out the emotion, so you end up with the logic, which is important.
Right. Correct.
I love that. Some really great advice. Cool. So, hey, let's get into the industry a little bit more. I've kind of picked your brains around how did you do this as a business owner, entrepreneur, some of the challenges you went through. Let's talk about the business that you're in, the industry. You know, why fitness? Why this industry, like gyms and all of that? And what's happening in the space that's exciting that you're passionate about?
Why fitness? I'll start with that. Well, yeah, I've just always been naturally, you know, played a bit of sports. I love sports. Got into fitness. Just love working out. And I don't know why. I just love working out. And then, so that's what's kind of sparked it off. And then I love the fitness industry itself, just being in the gym, the social aspect. But most importantly, how you feel. And, you know, I've gone through journeys in my life where I've trained hard and it helps me mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's just the holistic approach on your well-being, on how you feel. And working out in the gym, getting in the gym, actually, there's a lot of benefits and advantages that come from it. And I believe if you're in a physical, I'm not in the best shape at the moment, I'm getting there. But if you work hard in the gym, it creates more discipline in your life as well. You got more energy, more performance, more alertness. You're more confident. And so as an individual, it's always important to actually look after the well-being, whether it's the physical, emotional, the spiritual. But yeah, that was a massive connection. Yeah.
It's more than just the gym or running on the treadmill. It's about discipline. It's about looking after your health, which is the greatest wealth.
Yep.
There's no point in having a lot of money if you're not healthy.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Coming home, you're not fit enough to play with your kids or spend time because you're just drained.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's important to look after your health. It does impact every other aspect of your life.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Exactly. So I encourage people to get into the gym, work out, and even if it's just going for a run around the block, walk around the block, but setting aside. But also what you find is that you get mental clarity, taking some time out. So on the odd occasion, I'll take my dog, Brock, into the Onewhiro forest, and there's, you know, the Hakas Reserve. Yeah, it's a beautiful reserve, and we just go, and honestly, I leave the phone in the car, and just go for a walk and just look at the nature a little bit, and just little things like that. It's very important for yourself. Yeah,
I love that. You walk the talk, and that's a good example. You're a good example for business owners out there to look after your health as well. You know, make time to work on your physical being. Oh, sorry, your physical well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell I don't work in the fitness industry. I just nailed that one. Hey, what are some cool trends that are happening in that space as well? What are some things? Because you're traveling around the world, you're going to conferences, and you're that kind of business owner that comes across as like, I've got my finger on the pulse. I've got to make sure I don't miss out. I stay ahead of the game. So what are some cool trends that you're seeing in that space?
Technology is advancing so quick. So what do I mean by that is, like, you know, I went to San Diego earlier this year for the Ursha conference. I go to Ursha in America every single year because the level of education there is on another level. Like, this is crazy stuff, man. They teach you, because CEOs around the world come there. And, you know, whether it's just the simple, what do you call one of those machine? Oh, gosh. Sorry, had a brain explosion. You know,
Is it the one where you sit down, the chest?
Yeah. So the like a pin-loaded machine. There we go. Mine went blank. So basically they've got a technology thing on the side here where it's showing, you know, counting your numbers, your rest, and all that kind of stuff. So that's advancing so quick and fast. And then with the fast fitness that we're doing, we've got all the TV screens. We've got 5 screens all around the whole building, and it's got the person that's actually doing the workout for you. And so little things like that, where back in the days used to be like a whiteboard. And people used to just go off the whiteboard. Now everything's on a television, so you've got the person instructing you into little squares on the screen. Yeah, things like that is actually advancing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're just working out, and you don't have to pay for a personal trainer. You've got like a TV screen that kind of instructs you and guides you
Yep.
on your workout.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it can be tailored as well, based on the person, what they want.
Certainly can be. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So you don't need to come into the gym prepared with all your. I
Yeah.
mean, you might have an idea of what you want to lose weight or gain muscle, whatever it is, but you don't have to like plan out your whole week. You just come to this machine. Thing is that what you're saying? The technology.
Yeah. So
will just help
technologies, definitely
plan everything.
Exactly, and things like on your app as well. There's things that are actually telling you what to how to work out, nutritional stuff on there as well. But yeah, just the whole gym industry's catching up to technology. That's a massive thing that I've learned. Yeah, which is great.
Wow.
But you still need to exercise.
You still
need
got to
run.
exercise.
No
Yeah.
matter how great the technology is.
Yeah. You got to do the work. You got to
Correct.
do the sweating.
Yeah,
So it's just
that's
there
right.
just to guide and provide instruction. And
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
accountability.
Yep.
I think it's one of those things where all the information on how to lose weight and how to diet is on Google. Just go on Google, find it.
Yeah.
Or ask AI, but people still struggle to action it or to make it happen. And it's that accountability, having that person to help support you and keep you on the track and just remind you, hey man.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it's all on you. It's all on you. You know what I mean? There's some things that technology can't replace. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, you have to eat well.
Yeah.
You have to have discipline.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Where's New Zealand in terms of the rest of the world when it comes to this kind of stuff and the trends and advancing innovation?
Yeah, I think we definitely follow either the Australians or the Americans. But when you go to places like Germany or places in Europe, they're very advanced. And, I think with COVID, the whole industry's changed. Pre-COVID, post-COVID. So the gyms have changed a lot. And, whether it's the social distancing in the gym or whether it's like, I think the group fitness classes have taken off post-COVID as opposed to 24-hour gyms. So that's the industry's definitely changed in the last, I think, 3 to 4 years.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Let's go back in time a little bit
Yeah.
into your first gym here at Pukekohe, and then you expanded from there. Because
Yep.
I know you went to Tuako, you
Yeah.
went to Pokeno. So tell us a little bit about that journey as well. So for people out there who are maybe thinking about expanding and scaling their business.
Sure. So I got the gym at like 400 members, and then I grew the gym to about, I think it was 1,300 members. And I did that in the space of 3 years. And how did we do it? I look back and go, was it the marketing? Was it the passion? Was it just being in the club, driving the sales to culture? I think it was a combination of everything. And I just was pretty much almost living at the gym and got to know all my members, and we had this camaraderie, and it was great. So the gym definitely grew. It grew the community trust. We started to sponsor rugby teams and started to get out and about as well. And I remember the day when, I had a bit of a tax bill that came through. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? Let's call my accountant up. And he said, well, it's doing all right. So what you can do is go and build another gym if you want. And I was like, now my mind started to go to work. And then, so what actually happened was I ended up finding a lease in Tuako. And I walked in there and I said to the agent, I'll take it. So I got my first gym, my Poke gym, to fund Tuako gym. And I did it without a bank loan in 9 months. And that's how it all started.
Wow.
So I funded it. I ticked up all this gym equipment. And then I threw it in there and then paid it off in 9 months and had a freestanding club in 9 months. So, and then grew that club and repeated the whole system again.
Just duplicated that model.
Duplicated it.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you bootstrapped it. You didn't take any loans to grow or scale it to invest into the
Correct.
next club.
Yep.
You
So
just
my
bootstrapped
first
the whole
club
thing.
funded the second club.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
With the help of the accountant and his or her advice.
Yep. His advice. So the accountant, you got to have a good accountant, no matter what. So your accountant is your make or break in your business, because this is things that they know that can help you navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Pocono came in a similar process as well. And then the COVID-19 lockdown happened in 2020. But we just launched Pocono Gym in November 2019. So we only had the gym in operation for like 5 months before the lockdown. And that was another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you would have learned a lot from COVID there with
Yeah.
lockdown, gyms having to shut down and all these little rules and policies around it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the toughest moments in my business career. Yeah, you know, your building's shut, and you're still paying 50% rent back to the landlord, and there was no way around it. I mean, luckily there was clauses in the lease agreement that saved us. But so yeah, when it came to financial loss, that was huge. You know what I mean? And a lot of, not just myself, but most business owners in New Zealand and globally went through a tough time, because if your business can't function, if it's not open, then, you know, business can't exist.
Yeah. And you hung in there.
Hung in there.
You hung in there.
Hung in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Just had to maneuver, speak to the accountant again and look at ways of, that's when the problem solving kicked in. Even in a lockdown at home, you're constantly working. But it was something great that happened out of the first lockdown, because me and my franchisor partner, we created the franchise system in the first lockdown. And that was like a blessing in disguise. So, because we had time, we're sitting at home, scratching our heads and, you know, trying to maneuver all the clubs while they're still shut and paying our bills. But then we, you know, came up with an ops manual. We started to put things together. And then we got a franchise agreement. So we started working with lawyers in the background while it was shut. So if it wasn't for that lockdown, I didn't even know if we would have been able to franchise just yet.
Wow.
Things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Constantly pivoting.
yeah.
You
That's
hear
right.
that word thrown around a bit, but pivoting is pretty much just adapting. You got the challenge.
Yeah.
How do you approach it? How do you adapt?
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Yeah, there's things you can't control and things you can control.
Yeah.
And you got to work with that.
You do. You do. And that's the thing about being in business, is that nothing is going to be easy. There are going to be some challenges, and you need to make room for that, and just to navigate. And don't get too frustrated. As they come, they teach you something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
But keep pushing through and never giving up.
Never giving up.
Never giving up. And most businesses that, you know, fail is maybe lack of cash flow or bad mismanagement. That's a massive one. But you've got to put a lot of time into your business. You got to spend time in it. Because if you don't spend time, it's like anything else, it'll die.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been doing. It's what we continue to keep doing ahead.
Yeah. And knowing what to support and what to invest in to kind of improve the business as well. Keeping your fingers on that. So you talked about challenges, and, you know, hey, as we draw closer to the end of the podcast, which is awesome, I want to talk about the biggest challenge. Maybe share the biggest challenges that you've went through. I don't want people to get the idea that, you know, getting into business is this gloomy thing.
Yeah.
There's no challenge, you know, as long as you've got a cool idea, and then, you know, success will come your way. But it's not always like that. There's challenges that come through. What's the biggest challenge that you've gone through as an entrepreneur, business owner, and how did you get through it?
I've failed in business. You know, I'll say that out loud. And again, I owned a fast food chain, or a little mini restaurant, and I didn't have any hospitality background. I got it for a low cost, and I was like, you know what, maybe a bit of ego kicked in at the time. If I can do well in gyms, maybe I can try this hospitality gig. Lasted 1 year, lost heaps. Wouldn't want to talk about that, but that was probably one of the biggest wake up calls being an entrepreneur, when I failed in that business. So that was. It was starting off great, and then leadership. I probably overcommitted. I had too many businesses going at one go, and that's one thing: is do not overcommit. Do not overcommit. I've been told that. So only chew what you can eat. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So I overcommitted. I had 4 businesses running at the same time. One was hospitality, and had no experience. So if you're going to get into a business, make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Have a bit of experience in it. Don't go in blind, because without experience, they can't carry you through. And so I had bad staff issues. I started mismanaging on ordering too much food when I didn't have to. So I didn't understand all that. And the business operator lost. I had to shut it down. And that was a painful experience. But when I look back at it, I'm kind of glad in hindsight that I went through it, because it taught me so much about margins. It taught me so much about leases, lawyers, franchise. It was a franchise as well. And the stuff I went through, it probably won't talk on this podcast, but that was a real massive shake-up. It was a big financial loss, but I see it as a massive learning curve. Yeah.
Well, you have to, right?
Yeah.
You have to take a learning from it. Otherwise, you keep making the mistake again.
100%.
And sometimes, you're like, we make poor decisions as business owners, entrepreneurs, and some of them are very expensive. But hey, that's why I've got Darren here on the podcast, so you don't have to make the expensive mistake.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful, for the challenges that you've gone through, because it's helped you become the person that you are today. And the person you are today is able to make more impact, do more for the business, and for others in the community as well.
100%. 100%,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's been a fun journey. But yeah, I'm going to stick to gyms.
You stick to gyms.
Yeah, because that's all I know. I'm not. There's no time for me to experiment just yet. I'm just going to stick to what you know. And sometimes they always say, if it's your craft, stick at your craft and just sharpen it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, what's the future of your business looking like? And obviously, for those who don't know, you got Creo. You've got, what's the other name?
Creo.
Was it just Creo?
Yeah,
Your
Creo
fitness
Fitness.
clubs?
Yep.
Yep. It's just Creo.
Oh, Fast Fitness.
Fast Fitness. That's what I thought. That's what I
So
thought.
Creo Fitness and Fast Fitness, two different things.
I thought there were two different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the future looking like for Creo and Fast Fitness?
Multiply, franchise, international, nationally. We want to go nationally across New Zealand. We want to start franchising now. I'm actually now moving pretty much full-time into franchising. So we've got a broker now meeting with potential franchisees. And so, they range from 150,000 for one package for Fast Fitness up to 350 for a 24-hour gym chain plus. Could be a bit more depending. So yeah, that's where I want to be, a full-time franchisor and grow it like McDonald's or KFC. And go and just where it takes us. If it takes us overseas to another country, which I do feel one day it will happen, we'll go there. And, there's no limits. It's only excitement ahead to go and experiment more around the world and even New Zealand as well.
I love it. There you go. From a humble garage out in West Auckland to international. I love it. What a great story. Very inspiring. Thank you for spending time with us on this podcast and just being so generous with your wisdom and just sharing. I know we're better for it, our audience. And so if there's any final advice, anything that you want us to take away from this podcast or from your experience, what would it be, that one thing?
One thing is, like Nike says, just do it. Because the world needs you. And we need young entrepreneurs. We need people to actually chase their dreams, their goals, their ideas. Because the world will be a better place if you step out and, what I believe that God's given you inside of you as a gift. And our goal is to get that gift out of us up until the day that we leave this earth. And lastly, if you go past a cemetery, it's the most wealthiest place in the world because people died with music still singing in them. There's presidents and prime ministers and community leaders to musicians in the cemetery that never came out in their life because they lived life in fear and doubt. So just while you're alive, you're still breathing, give it a go. Just do it. Take that step. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, just keep going. Never give up. You know what I mean? So that's all the most successful people in the world have failed, and you must fail before you actually succeed.
I love that because fail ultimately leads to success. I love that. Some great advice. Life is too short to worry, to doubt, and to fear. Just give things a go. Like Nike says, just do it. I love it. Nice way to end this episode. Thank you so much for your time, brother. Darren,
Pleasure.
Founder, franchise owner, and everything else from humble beginnings, garage to international. Here we go. Watch this space. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much.